You step out of the shower, run your fingers through your hair, and 20, 30, 50 strands come away in your hand. Here is what almost no one tells you. That is very often not aging, and it is very often not genetics. Research suggests the single biggest daily insult to a thinning scalp. It is something you are applying every few days with your own hands. It is the shampoo. Not one brand. A short list of harsh ingredients hiding near the top of the label on bottles, sitting in 80% of American bathrooms. And most people using them have no idea why their hair feels thinner, more brittle, harder to hold a style, month after month. Today I am naming the 7 worst offenders, worst to first, and then I am giving you the 3 ingredient types that are actually gentle enough to rebuild from. By the end, you will be able to walk into your own bathroom, turn your bottle around, read one panel, and know in 10 seconds whether you should keep it or bin it. And your doctor has probably never had time to explain any of this, not because they are hiding it, because appointments are too short. I'm Dr. Alan Brooks. I have spent 35 years as a board-certified dermatologist, focused on hair and scalp. And more than 10,000 patients have sat across from me worried about the same thing you might be worried about right now. And for years, one pattern drove me a little crazy. People would come in doing everything right, the biotin, the serums, sometimes even minoxidil, and they were still losing ground. So I would ask a simple question that almost no other doctor asks. What exactly are you washing your hair with? Then I would have them photograph the ingredient list and text it to me. And again, the culprit was right there, in the first 5 lines of the label. Nobody had ever told them to look. This channel is where I say what I never have time to say in a 15-minute visit. Maybe this is you. You have blamed yourself. You switched to washing less. You bought the biotin gummies. You spent money on a serum in a pretty bottle, and nothing changed. And quietly, you decided this is just what getting older looks like. I need you to hear this clearly. It may not be your body failing you. It may be the product you trust most, doing quiet damage every single wash. And that is fixable this week for the price of one better bottle. So let me show you what is really happening on your scalp about 1 hair width down. Your scalp is not just skin. It is a living surface protected by a thin layer called the acid mantle, a mix of natural oils and beneficial bacteria that keeps the surface at a slightly acidic pH, around 4.5 to 5.5. That mantle does 3 jobs. It seals moisture into the hair shaft, it keeps the follicle opening calm, and it holds inflammation in check. Now picture the hair shaft itself. Under a microscope, it looks like a pine cone, with overlapping scales called the cuticle lying flat and smooth when the hair is healthy. When those scales lie flat, light bounces off and the hair looks shiny and strong. Here is the problem. Harsh cleansing agents do 2 things at once. They strip the acid mantle, and they lift and roughen those cuticle scales. Once the scales are raised, moisture escapes. The strand turns dry and brittle, and it snaps mid-length. That is not shedding from the root. That is breakage. And to your eye, breakage and shedding look identical. You just see less hair. On top of that, a stripped, irritated scalp becomes inflamed, and low-grade inflammation is a known trigger that pushes more follicles into their resting phase early. So the wrong shampoo attacks from both ends. It snaps the hair you have, and it tells the follicle to slow down. Think of it like scrubbing a delicate garden with bleach every few days. Eventually, nothing wants to grow there. Now, here is the hopeful part. Unlike genetics, this is a lever fully in your hands. Change what you pour on your head, and the environment can recover in weeks. Before we start the countdown, let me settle one thing that will make everything clearer, because it is the confusion the whole industry relies on. There is a difference between shedding and breakage, and almost nobody can tell them apart in the mirror. Shedding is when a whole hair, root and all, leaves the follicle. That is normal to a point. We all lose 50 to 100 a day, and it is driven by the growth cycle and by your health from the inside. Breakage is completely different. Breakage is when the strand snaps somewhere along its length, so the root stays put. But the visible hair is gone. Here is the cruel part. In your hand, in the drain, on the pillow, they look exactly the same. You just see hair that is no longer on your head, and you assume the worst, that your follicles are dying. But the wrong shampoo causes breakage, not shedding. And breakage is far more fixable, because the follicle underneath is alive and well, and simply needs you to stop snapping the hair it produces. So when I tell you a shampoo is stripping your hair, understand what that means. It is not necessarily killing your follicles. It is shattering the strands they are working hard to grow. Keep that distinction in your mind for every one of these 7. Before we start the countdown, one rule that makes this whole video usable. Turn any bottle around and find the ingredient list. Ingredients are listed by amount, most first. If any of the harsh agents I am about to name sit in the first 5 lines, that formula is built around it. If they appear near the very bottom in tiny amounts, that is a different story. Position on the label is everything. Keep that in mind for all 7. Number 7. Sodium chloride. Plain table salt. It sounds harmless, and in small amounts it is. Manufacturers add it to make a thin, cheap formula feel thick and luxurious in your hand. The problem is when it climbs high on the list. Salt is drying by nature. It pulls moisture out of the hair and scalp. And on a sensitive or already thinning scalp, it can leave the surface tight, flaky, and irritated. It is especially rough if you color your hair or have any kind of keratin or chemical treatment, because it accelerates fading and dryness. The common mistake is assuming a thick, rich shampoo is a quality shampoo. Thickness is often just salt doing marketing. If sodium chloride is in your top 5 and your scalp feels tight after washing, that is your sign. Not the worst on this list, but the first one to watch. Number 6. Synthetic fragrance, listed simply as fragrance or parfum. Here is what most people do not know. Under labeling rules, that single word can legally hide dozens of undisclosed chemicals, and you have no way of knowing which. For a healthy scalp, fine. But fragrance blends are one of the most common causes of contact dermatitis on the scalp. An allergic inflammatory reaction that itches, flakes, and, you guessed it, drives follicles toward their resting phase. I have treated patients who chased mystery scalp irritation for a year, spending money on medicated products when the trigger was the perfume in a shampoo they loved. The mistake is trusting the pleasant smell. That smell is doing nothing for your hair and may be quietly inflaming your scalp. If your scalp itches within a day of washing, fragrance is suspect number 1. Test it by switching to a fragrance-free formula for 3 weeks and watch what happens. Now, everything gets more serious from here, because the next offenders do not just dry the hair, they strip the acid mantle at its foundation. This is where we go from irritation to real structural damage. Number 5. Sodium lauryl sulfate, often written as SLEs. This is the slightly gentler cousin in the sulfate family, and you will find it everywhere. It creates that rich foam we have all been trained to equate with clean. And it does clean. That is not the issue. The issue is that it is still an aggressive surfactant that strips the natural oils your scalp depends on, and it can leave the cuticle raised. The specific concern with SLES is a manufacturing byproduct that can contaminate it during processing, which is why the quality of the source matters and why you cannot tell from the bottle. The mistake is chasing lather. More foam does not mean more clean. It usually just means more stripping. If your hair feels squeaky and then rapidly greasy a day later, that rebound is your scalp overproducing oil to recover from being stripped. SLEs is tolerable for some, But if you are thinning, you can do far better. Number 4. Cocamidopropyl betaine. Do not let the coconut-derived name on the front of the bottle fool you. Yes, it starts from coconut, but by the time it is chemically processed into a surfactant, it behaves very differently. It is milder than the harshest sulfates, which is why brands love to market it as gentle and natural. But it is a well-documented contact allergen, and it was actually named Allergen of the Year by a major dermatology group because of how many reactions it causes. On a scalp that is already inflamed and losing ground, adding a known sensitizer is exactly the wrong move. The mistake is trusting front-of-bottle words like derived from coconut. That phrase tells you the starting material, not how the finished ingredient behaves on your skin. If you have switched to a natural shampoo and your scalp got worse, not better, check for this one. 2 left in the danger zone, and these are the 2 I most want out of your shower if your hair is thinning. Number 3. Sodium lauryl sulfate, SLS. Not the Loreth version from a moment ago. This is the raw, undiluted parent of the sulfate family, and it is the most aggressive commonly used cleansing agent on shelves. It is such a powerful degreaser that it is used in laboratory studies as a standard skin irritant, the thing scientists apply on purpose to provoke a reaction, so they can test something against it. Read that again. It is the benchmark for irritation. It rips through the acid mantle, lifts the cuticle, and leaves the scalp raw and inflamed. In controlled use, it has been linked to increased breakage over time. The mistake is thinking a strong clean is a good clean. For a thinning scalp, SLS high on the label is one of the worst things you can apply. If it is in your top 3 ingredients, that is the bottle I would set down today. And number 1, the worst offender for a thinning scalp is not a single ingredient. It is a category, and it is the sneakiest one of all, because it hides behind the most reassuring words on the shelf: non-soluble silicones. Look for ingredients ending in cone or xane, like dimethicone or cyclopentasiloxane. Here is the trap. Silicones are why a shampoo makes your hair feel instantly, impossibly silky in the shower. That is the exact sensation people fall in love with, but that silky feel is a lie. Silicone is a plastic-like coating that wraps around each strand and around the follicle openings on your scalp. In the short term, it feels amazing. Over weeks, it builds up in layers that water cannot rinse away. That buildup weighs fine hair down so it looks flatter and thinner. It seals the follicle opening so oils and any treatment you apply cannot get in, and it traps the very dryness underneath it that it was hiding. So your hair feels soft on the surface while it is being starved underneath. Let me tell you about Susan. 61. A patient of mine who came in convinced her hair was thinning fast, and it looked flat and lifeless, at the crown. She was using an expensive silky shampoo she adored. We did nothing but switch her to a silicone-free formula and do 1 clarifying wash to strip the old buildup. 6 weeks later, her hair had visible lift and body at the roots again. The hair had been there the whole time. It was suffocating under plastic. The common mistake with silicones is the deepest one on this list. People judge a shampoo by how their hair feels in the shower, and silicone is engineered to win that exact moment while quietly costing you over time. If cone or xane sits high on your label, that is the one I would replace first. So that is what to throw out. Now let me give you what to look for instead, because a warning is useless without a replacement. There are 3 types of gentle ingredients that clean without stripping, and any one of them near the top of a label is a green flag. The first is a family of mild sugar-based cleansers. Look for names with glucoside in them, like diesel glucoside or cocoa glucoside. These are derived from sugar and coconut, and they clean gently, without tearing through your acid mantle. Your hair may not foam into a mountain of suds, and that is the point. A modest lather is the sign of a gentle formula, not a weak one. retrain your expectation. Clean does not have to squeak. The second green flag is any formula built around botanical oils and humectants that support the scalp instead of stripping it. Look for aloe vera high on the list, along with ingredients like glycerin or panthenol, which is a form of vitamin B5. These pull moisture into the hair shaft and help those cuticle scales lie flat again, so light reflects and the hair looks thicker. Aloe in particular soothes an inflamed scalp, which is exactly the environment we are trying to rebuild. And the third green flag is the presence of a couple of the actives we want working on the root of the problem. A gentle shampoo that also lists rosemary extract, saw palmetto, caffeine, or niacinamide is doing double duty, cleaning softly while nudging circulation and the hormonal pathway in the right direction. These will never be a full treatment on their own, but in the 2 minutes the shampoo is on your scalp, every little bit of the right chemistry helps. Here's exactly what to do this week, step by step. Tonight, turn every hair product in your shower around and read the first 5 ingredients on each. Any bottle with sulfates, silicones, ending in cone or zane, or fragrance high on the list, set it aside. Then do one clarifying wash, a single, gentle, deep clean to strip months of silicone buildup off your strands and scalp. So you are starting from a clean surface. After that, switch to a formula whose first cleansers are glucosides or another mild sugar-based agent. Ideally one that also lists aloe, panthenol, or one of the scalp actives. Wash no more than 2 or 3 times a week, because overwashing strips the mantle no matter how gentle the shampoo, and always finish with a cool final rinse to help the cuticle seal flat. 2 practical tips. First, ignore the front of the bottle entirely. Words like natural, gentle, and for thinning hair are marketing, not regulation. The truth is only ever on the back, in the ingredient list. Second, give it time. After the switch, expect the greasy rebound to settle within 2 to 3 weeks as your scalp stops overproducing oil, and expect the hair itself to look fuller as buildup clears and breakage slows. One thing, doctor to viewer, before you change anything. If you have a diagnosed scalp condition, are using a medicated or prescription shampoo, or your hair is coming out suddenly or in distinct patches, talk to a dermatologist in person before you overhaul your routine, because that can signal a different problem that needs real evaluation. And whenever you try a new product, apply a little behind your ear first and wait a day to rule out a reaction. I am a doctor, but I am not your doctor. Now, one last honest word about expectations, because this is where people give up too soon. The damage from years of the wrong shampoo did not happen in a day, and undoing it will not either. Give the switch a full month before you judge it. The breakage slows first, then the shine and body return as the buildup clears, and the scalp calms in the background where you cannot see it. But this was never really about shampoo. It is about walking into your own bathroom and finally understanding what you are putting on your body, instead of trusting a pretty label to decide for you. That is control, and it is yours starting with the very next wash. So go turn those bottles around tonight and come back and tell me in the comments what you found lurking in your top 5. Type your age too, and whether your scalp feels tight or itchy after you wash. I read them all. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next one.